Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the most exciting and electrifying sports podcast on all of YouTube. This is the Fam Sports Podcast. I'm Logan. I'm here with Devin.
How's it going, guys? Welcome.
And we are here with a very special guest. We have lots of talk about. The NBA playoffs are approaching fast. We have lots of talk about there. And then we also have some interesting NFL stories to talk about as well with the draft impending. So, DB, let's go into our first topic here.
All right, so we're looking at the NBA playoffs. You have the East shaping up. All the teams in the East so far are locked in the playoffs. They've locked their spots. Just don't know the seeding yet. So we're talking LeBron James, the heavy favorite. He's been the heavy favorite for how long? Who knows? 8 years?
Yeah.
10 years?
Decade, yeah.
Yeah, so, by the way, this is Dom, so welcome, Dom, to the podcast.
Our special guest,
Way to speak before your entrance, but that's cool.
the NBA analyst of the Fam Sports Podcast.
Yeah.
We will get to him in just a bit. So, DB, with the first round of playoffs coming in here, who do you have LeBron matching up against in the first round?
Right now, I believe he would match up with the Heat, right? The Miami Heat.
Yes.
And I think that there's a solid possibility in that way. Right now, obviously, he's a 3 seed. Right behind him are the Sixers. They do have the same record. I guess Cleveland has the tiebreaker. So, Cleveland going in. Dom, who do you think has the best chance to beat Cleveland and LeBron?
If I'm going for that matchup, I'm going with the Heat. I'm thinking the upset is coming for LeBron. And I'm only saying that with the Heat because I really think they have the best chance. Since LeBron left Cleveland, he is 0-5 when playing in Miami.
Right, but
it's some weak spot he has for
in defense of LeBron.
I think he has a real chance of being upset by them.
In defense of LeBron and the Cavs, at the moment he would have home court advantage. So,
And here's the point I would like to make. LeBron is 2-1 against the Heat this year. And we've seen that when it comes to playoffs, he's a whole new monster. Obviously, he's going up against his former team with Miami. But I don't think there's any chance of LeBron losing. He's never lost in the first round of the playoffs before. What would change this year? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I don't see it happening. Although I differ from your view with the best chance. I give it to the Pacers. My Indiana Pacers.
Really? The Pacers?
Yeah. I mean, look, they're a 5 seed right now. They've obviously outperformed the Heat this year. And you have to think the Pacers this year went 3-1 against the Cavs. I'm not sure if they play them again or not. But they went 3-1 against the Cavs. All pretty tight games except for the one they blew out the Cavs, 124-107. And you look at the lineup, Victor Oladipo, pretty impressive this year. I mean, you have to admit, 72 games, he's averaging 23.4 points a game.
Yeah, I mean, he's an all-star, there's no doubting that. I just think, Indiana's really not a threat. The only threat really is the Heat and the Sixers. And maybe I just can't see Indiana pulling it off.
I mean, of the bottom 4, I give them the best chance. Of the top 4, I give no one chance. The Sixers, they won't show up. They're too young. The Celtics, Kyrie's out. That was a breaking news today. They announced that Kyrie's out for the rest of the playoffs, the rest of the season.
Celtics, it is not their year.
Yeah, it's a huge loss for them, and they practically stand no chance against the Washington Wizards if this standings does stay the same as of right now. I believe they have no shot.
And then Toronto, they've just proven they just cower in the sight of the king.
Well, here's the thing. They have one of the best benches in the whole league. They have 2 stars, and I think they don't have a great chance, but I think they could steal a game or 2 from them.
Yeah,
the only teams I really see is Miami, just because of what I just said, and the Sixers because LeBron doesn't have an answer for Embiid, and Simmons is just on a whole other level. Now the only problem I have with the Sixers are their experience. Embiid's not really that healthy, and Simmons never played in a playoff game before. So if they can run smoothly with the playoffs, then they have a real shot.
I see, Dom, I actually kind of am on the same page with you here because the 76ers are on a 12-game win streak right now. They've won 4 games without Embiid, And it was, I mean, obviously it was against the Hawks, the Hornets, Nets, and Pistons, so it wasn't too much of competition. But they would end up facing the Pacers in the first round, which I think they could just breeze past the Pacers. But then they either face Toronto or the Bucks, which ends up going to be Toronto. Let's be real here. So Toronto, will they be able to take out the 76ers? I am kind of leaning towards no. I think the 76ers could make a deep run in this playoff bracket here, and then they'd end up facing the Cavs, and at that point, I think LeBron overtakes Embiid, which he struggled with all season long, and I believe that his pure experience outshines Simmons as well, and LeBron takes that to clinch the East.
Yeah, I have them making the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't really think anyone's doubting that. I think that when they meet, when they meet LeBron in the Eastern Finals, I think it'll be a good series. I think it might go 6 or 7.
So it looks like you're cowering out because you told me before that you think the 76ers will beat the Cavs if it comes down to the Eastern Conference Final. You said the best chance that either team has is the 76ers or the Heat. So if LeBron braces past the Heat, which he will, then it comes down to your precious 76ers, and I don't think they have an answer for LeBron.
Yeah, but they don't have an answer for Simmons or Embiid. Every time they play the Sixers, Embiid.
Have you heard of LeBron James?
What?
Have you heard of LeBron James?
Head up, man. LeBron James, the king. He hasn't lost in the first round. He hasn't missed the playoffs in his career. He goes down to Miami, takes them to the finals. He comes back to Cleveland, takes them to the finals. He's unstoppable, especially when it comes to the playoffs. LeBron James, he's going to breeze through the East. That's my.
He has lost in Western Conference or Eastern Conference Finals before. You know that, right?
Yes, he has.
And
but you're telling me this new young kid on the block, Ben Simmons, is going to overtake the king? You think Ben Simmons is going to take the throne? No.
Not only with Embiid and Simmons, they have veteran players.
Yeah,
they have a whole range of
you keep saying Joel Embiid.
Saric, J.J. Redick, a great shooter.
You keep saying Embiid. Let me remind you, he's hurt. Okay, and if he's hurt, you can't miss those 23 points a game almost from Embiid. It's just not going to work for the Sixers. He only has 63 healthy games. All right, so let's move on to the Western Conference now. So my pick for the East, Cavaliers, but we'll move on from that. In the West, two favorites right now, Rockets, Warriors, 1-2 seed. Is there anyone else in the West that has a perceivable chance to even make it to the conference final?
No, I don't. Warriors and Rockets are obviously going to be favorites. But, I mean, you can't count out the Thunder and Minnesota because Jimmy Butler will be back and he'll be playing again.
Okay.
And the Thunder, I mean, despite their up and downs this whole season, they're still a dominant team. I mean, they give Golden State a run every time they play. I think they're 2-1 right now on the season.
Yeah, well, I mean, the biggest argument for that is you look at the road record for both the Thunder and the Timberwolves, both under 500. Timberwolves 16-23, Thunder 19-20. And when you're going into the playoffs, you don't have home court advantage. You have to win on the road, and I can't see them beating the Rockets or Warriors. The
only reason I say that is because Golden State is going for the whole first round without Steph. And without Steph, that team is completely different. They play a completely different style. They don't win by nearly as much as points. They're not favorites to be upset, but it could happen in that first round.
Well, here's my take on this. So we know that the Golden State Warriors are facing the Timberwolves in the first round. Since Steph has gone injured, they have gone
at the moment.
Yeah, at the moment, as if the standings stay the same. And since Steph has gone injured, they've gone 3-3, 500 on the dot. And they still have the powerhouse KD, probably one of the greatest of all time, and probably one of the greatest right now as well.
I'd say number 2, but yeah, go ahead.
I don't think they will advance in the tournament if Steph is still injured outside of the first round. I think they'll beat the Timberwolves, But then if Steph still stays injured, then they will not make it past the second round.
Do you think the Trailblazers?
Yes. Because here's the thing. I think the Trailblazers will beat OKC. OKC will probably take them to 6 or 7 games, but here's the thing. Westbrook cannot finish in close games. We've seen this multiple times now throughout the season. He's just not a clutch player. Sure, he's great, but he's not a clutch player. That will cost them. OKC, I think they fall to Portland in the first round, and then Portland beats the Warriors. Rockets win it all, in my opinion.
The only doubt you could have for Rockets is the experience. I mean, we've seen time and time again, Chris Paul and James Harden, and even D'Antoni. I mean, they can't really perform in the playoffs. You saw what happened to James Harden last year; it just completely fell apart. Like, that's the only doubt with them this year is how they can perform in the playoffs and in crunch time when all the stakes are high.
Well, yeah, I mean, but the only truly experienced teams here is the Warriors. I mean, they're the only ones that have made it to the finals in the past how many years. And if Steph Curry's out, you're going to have Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant really step it up. They're really going to have to step it up if Golden State wants to make it. But I think James Harden, Chris Paul, I mean, they've played well all year. Not to mention Golden State, they don't have much momentum right now. I mean, last 10, they're 5-5. They did win 3 straight, but before that, you know, I don't know. I agree with Logan here. I think Houston has the West. That's my opinion.
And here's the thing: we are talking about if KD doesn't even get ejected within the playoffs as well. We know he's a hothead. We know he has temper, and he's gotten ejected how many times now? And plus, he also missed a couple of games because of his ribs. So they're putting all their faith in KD, and sure, he's great, but I don't know if he can carry this team past the second round if they don't have Steph. Steph controls that team. He controls the tempo.
Yeah, you're right, but I mean, at the same point in time, you know, if you take away Steph, still look at what they have. They have arguably number 1 or 2 player in the league right now, KD. Okay, they still have a top 15 player with Klay, a top 25 player with Draymond, and if you think about it, those are still 3 Hall of Famers, one of the best shooters of all time, and their bench is one of the best in the league.
Yeah.
Like, I think they should be able to get it done until Western Conference Finals when Steph can come back and just go with it. Like, I don't really see them unless they underperform, that they shouldn't be able to make it to that.
But here's the thing: they've lost 3 of their past 6 games. The 3 games they won were against jokes of a team like the Suns. The 3 games they lost were all teams that are already in the playoffs. Doesn't that show of how they might perform in the playoffs? Now, I know the playoffs are a different game than the regular season. I know that. But I think this could be an indication that we will see the legacy of Golden State fall this year.
Well, obviously there's always things like, you know, just the wear and tear of... I mean, they've been to the finals how many years? I think 2 of the past 3 or 4. Like, it's going to set down on a team just, you know, going back to back all the time. But I think when playoffs come around, they'll be ready for it.
Okay, I mean, playoffs are more intense, obviously, and we've already seen Draymond Green. He's a hothead. Kevin Durant, now he's a hothead. So you're left with Klay. What happens if both of those guys get ejected when they get heated in the game?
You're telling me the Golden State Warriors are going to be led by Klay Thompson?
Okay, first of all, Klay would be a 1 or 2 option on some teams in this league. So don't even doubt that. And second of all,
when you have teams like the Suns, yeah.
KD and Draymond both know in the playoffs what's at stake. I really doubt that they'll start getting all hot and heavy. I think they can control themselves for the refs.
Really? Because Kevin Durant now has 5 ejections on the year. Guess how many in his career? 6.
Yeah, like 2 before that. I know.
He had 1 prior to this
KD
year.
came out as saying this is who he really is. He said when he was in OKC, he kind of bit his tongue a little bit. He wasn't like this before.
So you're saying that isn't bad for the Warriors organization then?
No, what I'm saying is that I know they can keep it under control when it's in the playoffs, when time really matters.
I don't know. I don't know if I can trust them. All right, well, let's go real quick. Your finals prediction. Who's making it from the West? Who's making it from the East? Who do you have winning it all this year right now?
If Warriors stay healthy, I'm going with them again.
No.
They just have too much talent,
No.
too much chemistry,
No.
too much power.
No.
Who else do you really...
The Rockets. Rockets. James Harden has led that team all year long. James Harden should win the MVP, and James Harden... Okay.
I don't even think Chris Paul has gone past the Western Conference Finals, so I'm not even going to go with them until I can see them prove it.
But, okay, here's the thing. You're saying, what if James Harden falls apart again? What if he doesn't? What if he destroys these teams? What if he goes out there and plays like a monster and leads this team to even more victories on the year and leads this team all the way to conference finals, wins the conference finals, goes up against my man LeBron James, and we will see one hell of a championship series.
That's not going to... Like, we have history of Warriors shining through playoffs, going undefeated through them, and James Harden and
With
Chris Paul
Steph!
on their...
With Steph, though!
Okay, you know what helps Harden? Chris Paul. He takes a little bit of pressure off James Harden. James Harden hasn't had that before. Now he has Chris Paul. He takes the pressure off. You don't have the whole spotlight on you anymore. They share the spotlight
we've
now.
seen what happened in the regular season, but the postseason is a different story, and we've seen what both happened.
Yes, I understand it's a different story, which is why I'm saying it could be different from the past. Because before, it was just
but we
James
don't have
Harden.
reason to believe that.
Now
yet.
it's James
Like,
Harden and Chris Paul.
I can't say anything until they prove it.
I'm just saying, if Steph is injured, they won't make it out of the second round, and at that point, it's Houston's game to win. It is. All right, Dom.
I can't go for it whenever they haven't shown anything.
Here's my question for you. MVP obviously coming up. Who is your MVP in your mind right now?
It's James Harden. It's not even a question.
All right, good. I was just making sure you have a clear head.
If you have
right
half
now.
a brain, you would pick James Harden. Well,
there's always a discussion for LeBron. You know, I think he could be number 2 or 3 with AD in there, but it's James Harden's year. He could have been MVP for the past 2 or 3 years, but this is the one where he's really shining. I mean, it's like he averages the most points in the year. He's top 3 in assists, highest PER of the season. That is above LeBron's, and his team. The most importantly, his team has the most wins. His team is the number 1 seed right now. Like, I don't see really how you could argue against that.
You can't. And really, I think the main thing that's keeping LeBron kind of out of the forefront of the conversation is that whole month span of where the Cavs were doing absolutely awful. They were doing horrible.
Yeah, there was a statistic. He, in January alone, he had the worst PER, or plus minus of the whole league. And that's pretty astonishing. There's like 400, 500 players in the whole league.
well, I mean, in his defense, he's playing the most minutes out of any player. I mean, he's the Cavaliers.
I mean, the whole league, though. You're talking the whole league when you have just, like, some bums on a team.
Yeah, well, guess what? That's going to happen when your team sucks and you're the only good player on it.
He wasn't the only good player. He had some other good people.
No one else was showing up. That's why they were losing.
So you're just going to give LeBron an excuse then?
I wouldn't say he's giving him an excuse, but here's the thing. LeBron turned that 1 month period that he was doing absolutely awful with the Cavs, and now I'd say in this past month, it's probably one of the best months of his whole career.
It is.
That's of how great of a player
no
he is. That's how dynamic he is. And I think this momentum that he has right now will carry over into the playoffs. That's why I think the Heat are done for.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's his best year offensively speaking, no doubt. But you know, it's not his. It's not this. Just it's in his year for the Warriors, James Harden.
I agree.
All right, you know what? You get heated about this all the time. I don't understand where you're coming from. Rookie of the year, my mind, Donovan Mitchell, easily.
Who's the rookie of the year?
Donovan Mitchell.
That's just ridiculous.
That's just stupid.
Okay, come on.
No, Logan, to be fair, like, I'm not going to be mad that people would think of Donovan Mitchell to be Rookie of the Year. I'm not going to be mad about that. But it's almost clearly Ben Simmons. I mean, DB, why don't you tell me why you think Donovan Mitchell has a chance of Rookie of the Year?
All right, you want to know why I think he has more of a chance than Ben Simmons?
Uh-huh.
All right, look at the average points per game. Donovan Mitchell, over 20. Simmons, 15. Averages 5 more points a game.
Okay.
You go to the 3-point percentage. Guess what? Ben Simmons doesn't take 3-pointers.
Okay.
Free throw percentage. This is pathetic. 56%. And you think he's a great player? 56% free throw percentage.
Okay.
That's sad.
Listen,
Keep
hold
going.
on, no, hold on. I gotta say something. I gotta say something.
What
All right.
else he has over Ben Simmons? Go ahead.
Oh, hold on. I have to say something right now because if you want to pull out stats, let's talk about stats. Mitchell is 21st in points per game in the league, and I can understand that also well. But then, guess what? He's not even ranked in assists per game and rebounds per game.
Because he's a shooting guard.
But let's talk about Simmons, though. 4th in assists in the league per game.
He's a point
19th
guard.
in rebounds per game and 49th in points per game.
He's a point guard. Guess who his center is? Joel Embiid.
All right, but here's the thing. I want to talk about this. I say Simmons is a better all-around player than Mitchell. There's only a 28 player
How can-
margin between the two in points per game. 28 players in the league.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the thing. I'm gonna lay this out for you right now. So Donovan Mitchell, the things that he's better at, you could say scoring because he averages only 4 more points than Ben Simmons.
No. 5.
Ben Simmons is averaging 15.8, Donovan Mitchell 20.3. So if you really want to round, go ahead, and it'll be 5. But since
Yeah, we
look
do
at
round
everything,
here.
Ben Simmons is doubling his assists. He's doubling his rebounds.
Yeah,
He
and
averages
look,
more
Dom,
steals
look
per
at the
game.
position
Hold
he
on,
plays.
hold on,
Look at the
hold on.
position he plays. How about
Hold on,
that, huh?
DB. He's averaging more steals, more blocks, less turnovers, and a higher PER. And the fact that he can't shoot, let's look at Lonzo. Lonzo can't shoot and doesn't score. He gets like 10 points a game. Ben Simmons can't score. He can't shoot, but he can score. He's averaging 15 points a game, and that's actually pretty impressive. The fact that his IQ is that high that he won't take shots he knows he can't make, but can get to the basket anyhow, and the fact that he can shoot with both hands, because you see him making layups with left and right. Ben Simmons does everything better than Donovan Mitchell.
You know why he
with
can?
a few less points.
You know why? Because look at his team, Dominic.
What? Look at whose team?
He has a better team around him. More
I wouldn't
threats.
say that.
More threats take the defensive players away than Donovan Mitchell has to
Rudy
deal with.
Gobert, since January, has been averaging about 17 points and about 12 rebounds. He's in candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. Joe Ingles and Ricky Rubio have both been averaging 20 since January. He has other players on this team that can score. It's the same. It's almost the same situation. The only thing that you could say is that he's in the West and not in the East. But, Ben Simmons' team is still higher than his.
Yeah.
And besides, Ben Simmons alone has... How many triple-doubles does Donovan Mitchell have?
I don't know.
I don't think any. Ben Simmons has...
How about the triple-double's a meaningless stat? It means nothing.
Do you know how incredibly hard that is to do?
Yeah, and did you see Westbrook last year? Guess where it got him? Nowhere.
Got the MVP.
Yeah, MVP, me. Alright, it doesn't matter. He didn't win the finals. He didn't get the big trophy, the big kahuna. He didn't get it.
Yeah, but we're not talking about championships right now. We're talking about Rookie of the Year. Plus, the name is Rookie of the Year. It's not Rookie since, January, December.
Well,
Donovan
hence
Mitchell wasn't
rookie,
even
because
in
they
the
don't have any other
conversation
stats to look at.
until half the year. We didn't even talk about him for Rookie of the Year. And now you just want to come up because he's scoring a lot of points. Ben Simmons does everything else better than him.
No, he
except
doesn't.
Score 5 less points.
No, he doesn't. Because guess what? Ben Simmons, how many three-pointers has he made this year?
He knows he can't shoot
A
threes,
big
and he
zip.
doesn't take them. That's
A
the
big
hard thing to do.
zero. A big old zero. Just remember that. Guess
You
what?
do realize
What's his
that
free
he's
throw
smart enough
percentage?
Not to take his shots that he knows he can't make.
What's his free throw percentage? Hence the word free points. That's right, 56%. Pitiful.
Okay, so you have the free throws on him because I'm not giving you the 3-point thing.
What? How can you not give me the 3-point thing? Donovan Mitchell
Because he's
makes
not a
3
shooter.
points. Yeah, as a guard, he's not a shooter.
DB, he's like, okay, if you want to say that, then you had to say the same thing about the great Magic Johnson, who's a top 3 of all time. Magic Johnson had almost the exact same first year as Ben Simmons.
Okay.
Matthew couldn't shoot a lick when he first came in the NBA, and then look at him. He was averaging about 20 points a game. Like
Congrats.
Ben Simmons. All right, Ben Simmons is just not even. It's not even a close. He should be Rookie of the Year. It almost should be unanimous.
At best for Ben Simmons, they split Rookie of the Year. That's the best case scenario for him.
You have Donovan Mitchell has nothing else going for him besides averaging 5 more points.
Those are a lot of points.
A better free throw percentage.
That's a lot of points.
Because Ben Simmons has a better field goal percentage from the field. Did you know that?
Yeah, and he also doesn't make 3-pointers, doesn't make his free throws.
He still scores. Like,
yeah,
he knows he can't shoot, so he doesn't waste possessions on missing threes.
Okay, you look at the average points, that's 5 more points a game, right? Yeah. 410 points through the season.
Okay, so
410.
Let's just lay this out then.
410.
On one hand, scores a few more, okay? But on the other hand,
you're acting like a few more means nothing.
Else better.
All right. So we have
Wait,
hold on.
I got one more little thing here for you.
All right.
Okay. Let's just not even talk about offense. Let's take a break and go to defense, right? So, defensive rating. Okay, Ben Simmons is 44th out of 488 players in the NBA. It's pretty good, right? Donovan Mitchell is 299th out of 448. Now,
shooting guard.
at their position, which is a guard, okay, Donovan Mitchell is 38th. You want to know what Ben Simmons is? He's 4th. That just shows you that not only is Ben Simmons getting it done offensively, he's one of the best defensively, too. Now, to be fair, it helps that he's 6'11", but still, Ben Simmons does work on both ends of the floor. Donovan Mitchell simply isn't. Ben Simmons is doing it at a 10 times higher level than Donovan Mitchell will. I mean, don't get me wrong, Donovan Mitchell is fantastic. He's explosive. I mean, but still, it's just, this award has to go to Ben Simmons.
All right, so we have cases for both Ben Simmons and Donovan Mitchell. Now let's move on to the other side.
Hardly a case for Ben Simmons. But
of the sports world, the NFL. We have a lot going on as the draft is getting closer. But first I want to talk about a huge story. Can the Patriots' legacy be crumbling before our very eyes?
Yes.
We know that there is tension between Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and now there's reports of Gronk being unhappy as well. So first, let me just say this. Brandon Cooks has just been traded away. Danny Amendola is gone. Dion Lewis is gone. Gronk could be gone, and Tom Brady is pissed off. We know that this tension between them is getting worse and worse, and you have to think Bill Belichick could potentially be trying to trade up as he's getting all of these players out of the way, which we know that Brady likes this system. We know he likes those players a lot, especially Gronk. So could Belichick be trying to be the driving force to push Tom Brady away from this organization and maybe try to draft one of these new QBs in a very, very rich QB draft class?
Yeah, I think that's what Belichick has in mind. I mean, he's getting rid of all these veteran players. He's like exchanging them. I mean, he just got the 29th pick for Brandon Cooks. Whenever he got Brandon Cooks, it was the 32nd pick. So, I mean, I think he's trading up to get a lot of these draft picks in order to kind of build a newer team. You know, just get ready for when Brady's leaving. I think it's a smart. I think he knows what he's doing.
I think he's an idiot.
Why is that?
Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time, and you're gonna make him mad and drive him out of your organization. He can't play much longer. We all know that. So why wouldn't you just keep him?
One or two more years, I'd say, for Tom Brady.
So why can't you just keep him? Draft maybe a later quarterback just as a backup. You know, I don't understand what he's doing.
I mean, okay, here's the thing about Bill Belichick. We know from the very start of his career that one thing about him is he holds grudges. That's what's made him such a great coach, because he's had a chip on his shoulder the entire time he's been coaching. He is mad at Robert Kraft and Tom Brady because they traded away Jimmy Garoppolo, who's arguably probably a next QB star in the league.
Oh, yeah.
So now he's pissed. He wants Brady gone. But I agree with you, DB. I don't understand it, because you have Tom Brady, who almost won his 6th Super Bowl. That's an unspeakable thing in the NFL. No one else has done that, and I doubt anyone ever will.
Yeah. Not even a team. Well, I mean, the Steelers have done it. That's it.
Yes. And
he could tie a franchise record as a quarterback by himself.
And you're telling me that Bill Belichick wants to get rid of Tom Brady to rebuild this Patriots organization? No. It's stupid. It's plain stupid.
I mean, why not rebuild? I mean,
What do you mean? You just went to the Super Bowl. You barely lost. Okay, here's what else he did. Malcolm Butler gone. You know why? He didn't play him in the Super Bowl. Idiot. He could have helped. He could have had a big influence against Nick Foles.
He lost a lot of trust with his players when he did that because
Nick Foles.
Listen, Nick
is a
Foles
Super Bowl champion,
he's a good
MVP.
He's
not a Super Bowl
don't
MVP.
Don't even knock on Nick Foles. He's a good quarterback.
Shouldn't have been. He shouldn't have been,
but he was.
No, I think his team won in that game, and he just fit in the system. That was it. It was the coaching that won that Super Bowl for the Eagles, not Nick Foles.
I mean, Nick Foles had a great game.
He had a great game because he worked in the system, the RPOs.
So, let's say all of these trades do happen, and they end up getting more picks earlier on in the draft. Where do you guys think that Gronk could go? What do you think is the next team for Gronk? Even though it's arguable that he doesn't have many years left, he could pursue a career in acting. His health obviously isn't keeping up with him as much. So where could Gronk go? Maybe for his last 1 to 3 years.
I see Houston being a good option for him.
All right.
I don't know. I mean, there's a decent amount of teams looking for a tight end.
Yeah.
He's extremely dominant. He could fit into a lot of systems in this league. So wherever he goes, he'll be dominant.
It doesn't matter what the system is. He's just a freak. He can fit in wherever he plays.
Yeah.
I think he's got to go somewhere that's established though, or else he'll blow his head. So I mean. Yeah. I think I don't know. He could go anywhere, but I know he'll want to go somewhere established. So we mentioned the Patriots. They trade up. They get another draft pick for Brandon Cooks, first round. We may see them trade up some more. Maybe get a quarterback to succeed Tom Brady. So we're looking at a very, very deep quarterback and running back draft. You have top 4 or 5, let's say, quarterbacks.
Yeah. I'd say maybe.
So who do you guys think is the best quarterback in the draft as we speak today?
Dom, you want to go first? All right, so we are back with the Fam Sports Podcast. Very sorry about that. Dom actually had to go away for a second, so we're just gonna tackle the rest of these topics.
We'll see what happens
on our own. So we mentioned the best quarterback in the draft. For me, it's probably Josh Allen. I honestly haven't seen too much tape on him, but I think one of the most important things for a QB is arm strength, which obviously has shown that in plentiful amounts. We've seen his ability to move out of the pocket when he has to, scramble when he has to. The big question is the defenses he went up against and the accuracy that he has, which I do think those two things could maybe burden him. But I think if he spent maybe a year behind a veteran quarterback, he could easily become a lot better trained, a lot better mindset for football, and I think he has potential to be the best quarterback in this draft through and through.
I don't know. I think accuracy is probably the most important part of a quarterback this day and age. So I don't know. I probably would go with Sam Darnold. I think he's probably the safest pick out of the top names. I think he's pretty physically sound, and he has the accuracy. Played at USC, so he had some competition, some tough competition to go up against.
Mm-hmm. And I'd say he probably had the best pro day out of all of the quarterbacks even performing in the rain quite well, which is a good indication
Yeah.
because you never know with
Especially
the
if he
weather
ends
in
up with
the
a.
NFL.
Actually, any team, really.
Yeah.
Besides the indoor teams.
Yeah.
Like the Vikings. Yeah, I think I really do agree with you, though, with Josh Allen. I think if he goes to a place like Cleveland, I think it could work out. You saw they just got Tyrod Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
And if he plays behind, or if he studies behind Tyrod for his first year,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think he could do some damage the next year, especially with if they have a nice receiving core, a nice back.
Yeah.
That's really what they need to get there in Cleveland. But I think Sam Darnold's the safest pick.
Yeah. I'd
he's
say
the safest.
between those two QBs, Allen and Darnold, is the two QBs that Cleveland is kind of torn between, I'd say, for their first pick in the draft, I would say.
I think
Because,
so.
I think the biggest problem is, and I think they will pick Allen just because I would draw a lot of comparisons with him and Carson Wentz, I'd say, maybe a little less accurate than Carson Wentz. And we know that they missed out on Carson Wentz, and look at him. He probably would have had the MVP last year if he didn't have the injury, and I could even say that he would still lead that team to the Super Bowl and win it.
Yeah.
So I don't think they want to miss out on another Carson Wentz player, so I think they might go with Allen, but I do agree with you that Sam Darnold is the best choice, but I think Allen could have a better long-term career.
Yeah, I think that could work out. I think he's a little more
Mm-hmm.
mobile as well. I think he's a solid quarterback.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, well, staying on the same topic of Cleveland, let's say that they either go with Allen or Darnold with the first pick, and let's say that nothing happens of where any trades occur where they lose the fourth pick in the draft. Who do you have them going with in the fourth pick, would you say?
If they draft the quarterback number 1?
Yes.
Well, it depends on what the Giants and Jets do. I heard the Jets are looking at Baker Mayfield. Or a quarterback of some sort, which they desperately need, I think.
I think the Giants could also maybe go with a quarterback, though. I mean, Eli Manning is getting to the latter of his career, I'd say. He did not perform that well last season.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we also have heard that the Giants do want Saquon Barkley as well, which I do think he would be a good fit in their offense. But I don't really know what will happen, but I think if the fourth pick does come to Cleveland, I don't think they'll go with any defensive players.
No, I think they'll
pick
get Saquon. Yeah, I agree. Because they have, right now, all the pieces. They have Landry now.
Mm-hmm.
They just got Josh Gordon back. They have Tyrod Taylor. They'll probably get a quarterback number 1.
Yeah.
Or number 4. I don't know if they're torn between the quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Cleveland, if the Giants and Jets don't take him, they'll take Saquon number 4.
And I think
if they have both picks.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a rejuvenated offense if that does happen because a new QB, Tyrod is a dual threat QB with his mobile abilities. You have Jarvis Landry, probably one of the best receivers in the league in my personal opinion.
Yep.
And then Saquon Barkley, who's a dual threat running back. We know he's great in the receiving game, but also great in the running game. Very explosive and dynamic. Add in Duke Johnson Jr., who's also kind of a receiving back. Josh Gordon, like you said, and Njoku as a tight end. I think that offense is set.
Yes, they will have a nice offense going in. So yeah, I think that's who they take, and I mean that depends if no one else trades in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot of teams interested moving up, trying to get a quarterback.
Maybe Dolphins, I think, could
Dolphins,
be one of them.
yeah, they don't seem to trust
Bills.
Ryan Tannehill anymore. The Bills need a quarterback.
Bills are running off of what, Nathan Peterman right now and
Yes.
AJ McCarron,
Yes.
which, let's be honest, that won't take them to the playoffs for 2 years in a row.
I could also see perhaps the Cardinals wanting to trade up. I think they need a quarterback. Sam Bradford, short-term solution.
Yeah,
At
and
best.
he's very injury-prone, as we've seen.
Yes.
So I think that's just too big of a risk for them. So I think the draft is still wide open to see trades and everything, and I think we can all speculate of how the draft will play out, but none of us really know the exact logistics behind it, I would say.
Yeah. All right, so last thing. Los Angeles Rams, big moves.
Yeah.
We mentioned Cooks before with the Patriots. They just got him. Traded their first-round pick for him. Ndamukong Suh just signed him.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Shields signed him. Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib.
Yeah.
Those cornerbacks looking solid.
And then already add on to the fact that you have Aaron Donald, Todd Gurley, Jared Goff, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. I mean, on paper, this looks like a phenomenal roster, a Super Bowl team. My question is, will they actually get there? And personally, I say no. I think they're to the point where they have too many egos, too many players just conflicting with each other, and we've kind of seen that's where tensions start to rise, and that can either make or break a team. As we know, some teams have performed under very high tension, very high pressure, and they've actually overcame it, and they perform better under that pressure. But I don't think this will be the case for the Rams, and even if they do have success, I think it's a very, very, very small window for them to actually have success because of, obviously, the money situation. You have to pay all these players, and yeah, I don't think they'll be in good shape.
I think they'll win their division.
Mm-hmm.
I do, and I think the 49ers will actually be second.
Yeah.
In their division. I think Jimmy G can lead them.
And,
you saw that.
and Richard Sherman as well now on that defense.
Yes. So San Francisco is looking... That NFC West, it's going to be tough. It will be tough. I think, all in all, in the NFC, probably their biggest... Well, obviously, the Eagles.
Yeah.
A huge threat. Just won the Super Bowl. But the NFC South, New Orleans Saints, they're one of my underdog teams. They are every year.
Yeah.
No one really talks about them making it in, but last season 11-5, 7-1 at home.
I mean, you have a top 3 QB, and you have 2 talented running backs who proved to be absolutely incredible, Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's questioned that they'll make the playoffs, but I don't know. I think both sides of the conferences this time are kind of up in the air. I think with the draft coming in and all of these free agency moves that teams are making, and I think it's going to be a very exciting year for football. Obviously a very long distance away right now, but I think it'll be a very exciting season. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I can't wait for the draft.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see who everyone ends up with. That'll help your predictions a little bit for next season.
Yes. All right, so that will be all for this edition of the Fam Sports Podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Lokester991. DB, you want to give a shout out to your Twitter?
At KOEagle13.
All right, thanks guys for tuning in. Be sure to check out tomorrow's episode, and we will catch you guys sometime later. Thanks again. See ya.
All right, see you guys.